we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast for any reason, hit us up in the DMs, like I've always said, on Twitter or on X or whatever they call it, or on Instagram at the Bigmark Pod or at the Bigmark Pod. The Bigmark Podcast, I think, is the actual handle for Instagram. But yeah, check us out there. Hit us up if you want to hear about a topic, if you want to join us on here as a guest, any type of way. Even want to just let us know, or speak amongst yourselves in the community. Like I always want to say, let's grow the Bigmark podcast community. I want to see everyone talking to each other. I want to see some new ideas percolating, and like I always say, I want to see people try on new ideas. That's what I always like to. That's what the way I look at it. The mind, or the mark of an intelligent mind is one that can entertain an idea without accepting it. And I think we need to practice that a lot more. Ideas aren't scary. Ideas themselves are not harmful. It's, of course, what we do with them, especially. And in fact, one of the worst things we can do with them is suppress those ideas, for those ideas not to be really thought through. Because I think that's the issue sometimes. Again, not to get on a tangent right in the intro here, but that's the thing. Sometimes we avoid ideas, we suppress these different things where all of a sudden we don't allow educated and critical thought to enter, and some of those ideas then grow in the darkness, so to speak. They don't have all the nutrients of light, and yeah, they might seem like good ideas or fleshed out ideas in a sense, but they're harmful and dangerous, or not, again, just not fully thought out. So, like I said, let's try on some new ideas here at the podcast. If you ever did want to join us, hit us up. You know where to hit us up. And again, what you're doing right now is the best thing you can possibly do is sticking around and listening, and even especially after that little rant. No, I'm just joking. Again, thank you all for being here. It's the best way you can support. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, follow along wherever you're listening or watching. And then check out our Patreon, patreon.com/BigmarkPod. We got a couple different ways you can support there. So again, thanks all for being here. I'm excited to talk about today's episode because it was a really fun thing that we did with the band, with Wreckless Harbour, my band Wreckless Harbour. If it's your first time joining us, I'm in an excellent folk band here in out of Hamilton, Ontario. Our music is out wherever you find your music, and our new album's going to be dropping hopefully by April. And it's gonna be a super fun year, especially for Hamilton music and Hamilton art. The Junos are coming to Hamilton, and there's the folk music conference is coming to Hamilton in October. So it's gonna be a really exciting year. So everyone tune in and get ready. And we had the privilege and opportunity and got the invite from Brody to or I guess maybe it was Brad, but anyway, we got the invite to play this wonderful Tom Waits tribute event. Every year actually. Well, unfortunately, the Casbah, which used to be a fantastic venue in Hamilton, unfortunately, it is now closed. Another development sold for another condo development situation. And, bringing more housing into Hamilton, where, and that's what happens as the city grows and we lose, unfortunately, places like this. But this Tom Waits tribute that always used to go down, or that has been going down for years, used to be hosted at the Casbah, but this year was at the Block Co. I'm just checking it out here. It was January 7th, so it was a few days ago, but it was hosted by the Killing Time Band, and people like Alfie Smith and Dan Walsh, Andy Griffiths, Greg Briscoe, Martin Verrill, Will Gillespie, the Brown Notes, Kevin Beebe, Greg Moverly, Bradley Hales, Ronley Tepper, and Tim Postgate, and more were all joining us, which was so much fun. Tyrone Ramsey, Deeps, and then of course us as Wreckless Harbour, and it was a sold out show. It was really cool. It was at the Block Co in Burlington, which is an excellent spot if you want to go and check out. It's a beautiful charcuterie, really cool, nice little fun atmosphere, and great food, great drink, all kinds of fun stuff. Alex Santorini was working there. We used to be at the Moonshine Cafe. Great musician in his own right, and he was there working the night as well. Again, Brody Schwendeman was there as well, and he was hosting and checking tickets and doing all that. So it's really nice to still see him in the industry and still putting shows on, because he's put many of us up on stage, let alone for the first time or otherwise. He's been an excellent person in the music industry in Hamilton, and he excuse me, he was a part of the show, which was super fun. So again, we were really excited to be asked to do this. And I really like Tom Waits. If you guys don't know who Tom Waits is, he's an American singer and songwriter, composer, and actor. His lyrics often focus on society's underworld and are delivered in his trademark deep and gravelly voice. He's like super gravelly. He's like, I don't know if it's quite Nick Nolte, but it's a little bit more gravelly. Kind of like this. Really, just a really interesting voice. He began the folk scene himself, actually, in the 1970s. But his music since the 1980s has kind of reflected the influence of such diverse genres as rock, jazz, Delta blues, opera, vaudeville, cabaret funk, and experimental techniques verging on industrial music. I mean, some of his songs, there's like chains for percussion and shit like that. So he's got a really interesting musical style. His I could probably do an entire podcast on his stage persona and just who he is, and a Wadeism, or one of Wade's quotations, which Humphreys called Wadeisms, is, "There ain't no devil, there's just God when he's drunk. I don't have a drinking problem except when I can't get a drink. Everybody I like is either dead or not feeling very well. I'm so broke I can't pay any attention. You have to keep busy after all. No dog ever pissed on a moving car. I don't care who I have to step on my way down." So again, he was kind of an offbeat kind of character. Excuse me, my gosh, I'm so sorry. And again, his music was really interesting, and we ended up choosing maybe not one of his most famous tunes. I wonder, I guess we could say, he's had different levels of fame as far as his music was concerned, I think. But again, some of his more, it's hard to say, even when I was about to say some of his more famous songs, but and unless you're a big Tom Waits fan, some of his stuff might have not even made it to your ears, kind of thing. So again, we were really lucky and really fortunate to be asked to do this. And I remember thinking about the show too, being like, wow, this is actually kind of a little bit more weighty than I expect, because a lot of people that are actually going to be at the show are actually big Tom Waits fans. And so I was checking out other songs and just kind of like looking into his history too. And like I said, I probably know him better as an actor, to be honest. I loved him in Bram Stoker's Dracula. He played an excellent R.M. Renfield, who's like that weird guy who's like eating bugs and shit. Well, he eats fucking all types of shit, actually. But that weirdo dude, like in the prison, that's kind of like helping Dracula get to America. He's in Mystery Men. He plays Doc Heller. He's actually kind of a reserved character as far as maybe some of the characters that normally he would play. But Mystery Men was an excellent show, and he's in the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. Again, like I said, sometimes he'll kind of show up in these little roles and stuff. But like I said, he was more of a I knew him more of as an actor too. But we ended up doing the song The Day After Tomorrow, so it wasn't necessarily one of the biggest hits, but it was like a really interesting song. It's kind of based on a soldier's letter back home. It's super sad and really long and slow, and a lot of the other songs that Tom Waits sang, as I mentioned before, rock and Delta blues and jazz. It was a full band. There was drums and all this stuff. So Day After Tomorrow is just kind of him and a guitar, and we were kind of lucky to get that one and start jamming on that and learning. It was a little tricky because of Tom Waits's, or at least the recordings that we had, and then I think Phoebe Bridgers maybe did another one too. Anyway, there was like a couple other covers as well that we listened to, but they were like so slow, and we just had to kind of get used to it a little bit more. And once we kind of got the hang of it and how we were going to sing it and figured out the arrangements and stuff, it was just really, really well done. John kind of led the John Harley, our fiddle player, kind of led things a little bit, but we all sang and just really interesting. And again, it's always fun, especially when you're approaching a cover, because you do have something to look at and compare yourself to, right? It's almost like, it's funny, me and my buddy B-Rye were talking about doing a home brew. The next one we want to do, let's try to make a beer that already exists, so when we brew it, we can say, oh, this is close, or how far off, or what are the actual results, instead of just this unique beer, which is fun. Again, obviously nothing wrong with that, but with covers, you can be like, all right, let's literally do this song note for note. We can recreate this song perfectly note for note, and it's going to sound as well as best as we can to the original. Or you take it and make it your own. I think that's the most important thing with music and doing covers, is you can ride that line anywhere you want. You can be right on, you can be right, you can change it a little bit. Obviously you don't want to like make a different song, but even still, like some people's interpretations, it changes the song so entirely you wouldn't even necessarily recognize it as a cover sometimes, right? And so when we ended up doing this and changing it a little bit and making it a little bit more structured, at least, that we can all sing on it and all of us can, be on time and make the changes on time. And again, it was super, super fun. I really enjoyed doing it, and we figured out some really cool parts. And then when we got to play finally, we were only playing one song, because the song's it was over 7 minutes just for the one song, right? And everyone was playing like one or two songs. And we got up there and it was great. We had everything figured out. Actually, funny enough, I should tell this part of the story too, because it's pretty wild. So, it was Wednesday night. We were playing. I show up early because we're loading in and you're getting loaded up. You obviously show up early to start fucking getting set up, and all the other bands are there. Well, I shouldn't say all of them, but other bands were starting to kind of roll in. And all of a sudden, I'm noticing, because I went through the front door, is locked, so I knock on it, and the guy comes and lets me in. And he's looking around. He's kind of going, like, I can tell he's like staring at the floor, and he's looking around. He's going, what the fuck? I'm like, and you can tell, like, walking on the floor, it's like a laminate floor. It feels like it like got wet. It was like all buckled and stuff, but there was like no standing water anywhere. Anyway, you're looking around. He's like, what the fuck? And under one of the parts of the HVAC that looked like an extension outside, it looks like there might have been a leak from right under, because there was a light cover thing that looked like it got wet, and then there was like a little puddle of water even on like the seat there. And we go to turn on the mixing board, and it's just like it literally sounded like like rushing water was coming, like that scene in Lord of the Rings when fucking Arwen calls in the horse fucking river. Arwen, she calls in the fucking horse river, and it was like so. Anyway, he shuts the thing off. We're like, oh shit. He looks at the monitor and fucking like picks it up and tilts it, and it's all fucking soaked, right? So we're like, oh fuck, man, like what the fuck happened? So obviously we need a board for the show. I'm like, yo, let me just go swap it out along McSqueezy. I'll go over to Long McQuaid's. We'll swap it out. No big deal. Go to where they can't swap it out. So we just rent a new one. So they got a rental. They swapped it out. And we got the show going. So we were really excited. And like I said, we were getting all set up and sound guy was tremendous. Everyone was there and the place is packed, sold out. Like there's, I think 35 capacity. Like it wasn't like there was a million people, but it was probably about 40 people. I'd say they let in a little bit more than 35. I mean, with the band, I guess bands and stuff too, you can count those guys. And it was just jammed in there. It was hard to walk around, and you're kind of like moving through the crowd with your instruments and stuff, but super fun. And again, when you're playing a slower pace song that's long and you can't be, and it's not necessarily quiet because we are amplified. So, we were able to be turned up if it was like not loud enough. But sometimes like this crowds fucking lose attention, right? People's attention span sucks. A lot of people go to shows as like a social event, like they haven't seen each other in a while, so they're gonna go and they're like, hey, so now they're catching up and they're fucking talking. But anyway, we were like the fourth act, I think, that went up, so it was well into the show. At least people were settled and we're playing, and you could, at least from what I could tell, you could basically hear a pin drop. Like, the place is long, so maybe there's people talking in the back, but like people were really quiet and really listening. And funny enough, there was this lady, Allison, that we met there who we ended up talking with right before the show started. And she somehow remembered not somehow, but she was gracious enough to remember all of our names and was like cheering us on, like quietly, like reassuring each one. She was like, great, like, good job, John. All right, Lauren. Like, yes, Trevor, right on. Like, making these little comments. And it was like almost like funny on stage because it was just so nice. But like you could fucking hear it loud and clear. Like, oh my God, it was so funny. And she was talking about like she's got chronic pain and she takes 5 grams of mushrooms every fucking 2 hours, psilocybin mushrooms. And we're like, holy shit, this girl's on like 30 fucking grams of mushrooms. Like, it didn't seem like it. Like, she wasn't zooming. She was with it, but my goodness, I don't know. Anyway, it's supposed to be helping her with her chronic pain. She has MS. It's like, oh my gosh, this is like pretty fucking incredible. If it is helping you the way you're saying it's helping you, I'm just surprised at the dose. So, but maybe that's what it fucking takes. So anyway, we're up there playing, super fun. Everyone's listening. We get through it. We nail it really. And, it was fun while I was up there. I heard there was this podcast. I can't remember what podcast, but I think Penn Gillette, I think that's Penn, and then something Teller, I forget, no, not Miles Teller, but Teller's the other one. So Penn is the tall one, I think. So Penn Gillette was on a podcast, and he was talking about, a lot of artists that have done well. I'm not saying at all that we've done well, but we have had a level of success. We've done the things that we want to do up until this point, at least. We wanted to keep growing. There's so many other things on the list, but in no way, I'm so grateful and so happy of all the things we've done and played, and we've made an album. So there's success. We have been successful. I'd say an unsuccessful band is a band that gets together, never plays, doesn't make any music. That's unsuccessful. But if you play a show, in my opinion, you're a successful band. Levels of success, of course, and amount of success, of course. But Gillette was talking about, when you are working towards a goal, sometimes after every show, you're always just thinking, at least I know I do this a lot too, it comes from sports, everything, really. You look back on things and you go, what could I have done better? What are some things I could have done differently to change this outcome, or to be better? Again, that's what you want to do. You want to get to the next level, and that's how you do things. You play shows. You want them to be stepping stones. You don't want to go back down. You want each show to be better. And there's no guarantee in that. You can have great shows, shit shows, and it could go all up and down like this. Like anything, like any progression in life. Nothing is fucking linear. You have highs and lows, of course. But Penn Jillette was talking about himself maybe now in his career a little bit different, but it was really interesting because it sounds like it was something that he said any artist at any level can practice, is that when you're on stage, look at your partner. He's like, I wish I could have looked at Teller look in the eye, look at the crowd and say, wow, look at where we are. We did it. At least just think that. Take a moment in the show, a microsecond even, and take that in for a second. And I tried to do that, and it was really fun. And again, even for those seven or so minutes that we were on stage, it's always a privilege and one of the best privileges of my life to play any type of music, no matter with who it might be. But I'm very grateful to be with these other three chaps in Wreckless Harbour. So if you haven't listened to us, go check us out. Again, it was really, really fun doing the tribute. Hopefully we're playing more Brody organized stuff, more Ghost of the Casbah shows and stuff. And again, just kind of looking forward to it. And it was kind of funny. I'm going to take advantage of my little soapbox here. And I came across this video of Tom Waits reading this poem, this Bukowski poem, and I petitioned the band. I said, hey, I'd like to do this, like, after our song. I'd like to read this like Tom did. And John poo-pooed it a little bit. He didn't think it was on theme, because we just finished a song that was like kind of sad about a soldier's return home and all these things. And the Bukowski poem, The Laughing Heart, isn't necessarily isn't about a fucking soldier returning from home. So obviously it's not on theme. But the whole night was about playing all these different Tom Waits songs and all these different things. So there was no theme really. It's just fucking Tom Waits. So the reason why I was going to do this is because Tom Waits read it, and he was in a Bukowski documentary and things and all these different things. Like, he's like a Bukowski kind of guy, he's a drinker. It's just like, it is on theme really. And I wish I advocated a little bit more for it, but then, I don't know. I find it tough. Like, criticism fucking murders creativity for me. Like, as soon as someone's like, I don't know, it fucking throws my whole creativity process like into a tailspin. I think you need to be like free and come up with ideas. That doesn't mean you're allowed to execute every idea you have, but it's just harder for me to advocate sometimes when someone's like, no, I don't think so. I just go, okay, fine. So anyway, so I'm going to take the opportunity to read it now. The Laughing Heart by Charles Bukowski. Your life is your life. Don't let it be clubbed into dank submission. Be on the watch. There are ways out. There's a light somewhere. It may not be much light, but it beats the darkness. Be on the watch. The gods will offer you chances. Know them. Take them. You can't beat death, but you can't beat life. You can't beat death, but you can beat life. You can't beat death, but you can beat death in life sometimes. And the more often you learn to do it, the more light there will be. Your life is your life. Know it while you have it. You are marvelous. The gods wait to delight in you. A fitting tribute to a fitting tribute. Super fun. Hopefully we get to do it again next year. Thanks to everyone who did it, everyone who put it together, Brad, Brody, Troy, everyone, Alex, everybody. Thank y'all. Go listen to some Tom Waits songs. And listen to some Wreckless Harbour songs too while you're at it. Thanks y'all for listening. We'll see you next week. Love y'all. Peace.